This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the technical director, the Grand Schwabini, and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now. Yeah, there it is, Black and Gold fans, the Sports Porch Black and Gold edition coming to you all over the world on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Head on over to YouTube. If you're not watching us there now, you can subscribe to us at the Sports Porch Podcast. And you can also listen to the podcast because I drop it right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. That's right. I am your technical director here in the basement studios in Monroeville. Across from me is the Grand Schwabini sitting in front of Jerome Bettis, holding up a Super Bowl trophy. It's an autographed.
There he is.
In the background.
The boss.
To my right in the studio, coming to us from the vibrant borough in the city of Greenfield, is Hockey Jesus. Yes, it is vibrant there, right?
That's why they call it Greenfield.
Right, because it's vibrant.
It's very vibrant.
It's very green. Okay. What are we going to do? We're going to talk black and gold sports. That's right. We're going to talk black and gold sports. We got a bunch of comments coming in already. If you watch our show all the time, you know that we love your input. We're not insiders. We're going to tell you like it is because we don't give a shit what these teams think about how we feel. We're not beholden to anybody. We're not shilling for anybody. We're just a group of guys that sit around and tell it like it is.
Shilling?
We want you. We want you.
What's shilling?
Shilling. You know, so Chris is already in the house. He says, hi, fellas.
Hey,
It gets funnier by the day and funnier by, by funnier, I mean not funny. He's talking about Aaron Rodgers, put Carson Wentz as the guy.
What? Where did this Carson Wentz thing come from?
Let's
that would be a big no.
Yeah, I mean
the same place that Jonnu Smith.
I guess we're gonna go. I guess we're gonna go right to the.
He's got to make it up.
Steelers. I'm gonna say this. Are the Steelers right now? And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna ask this question. Because this is something over the last couple days. I mean, you sent us that text where there were rumors that they were thinking about trading for Jonnu Smith, the tight end. And you were like, this is ridiculous. I'm embarrassed by this organization. You know, this is the Steelers we're talking about. This is the gold standard. Okay. So my question to you guys and to you guys, the Steelers, are they a catastrophe right now? Are they a catastrophe?
Yeah, I would say that they are definitely approaching a spot in their history that is basically the dark ages. And by that, I'm talking about after this 1979 Super Bowl win to 1993 when they got back to a Super Bowl, didn't even win it. We're talking those kind of ages. And we're almost past that at this point. That's why it seems like when they hired Cowher, at least you were like, okay, they got a new coach. He seems to know what he's doing. He's going to turn it around. Like everybody knew, and sorry for you young kids out there, but I'm going to talk like an old guy for a second. When Chuck Noll was done, everybody knew he was done. Okay?
True.
And he knew he was done and he quit. I don't see an end to this Tomlin thinking he's done. And on top of that, I don't see anything since Ben Roethlisberger left that makes me really feel like he can turn it around. So we're talking if, they don't get a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, they're beyond what it was in the 1980s and the early 1990s. And that's bad. What did you say, Mark?
I don't think they're quite there yet. You can't say they're a catastrophe. I mean, as much as I don't want to be like in favor of the whole winning season thing.
Yeah, no,
but you can't say a team's a catastrophe if they still actually have a winning record. I mean,
so they're not to the last few games.
Yeah,
they're
not a catastrophe. I mean, they're better off than several other NFL teams, but I think what we're all getting at here, what you're getting at, Steve, is it's not that far from falling off the cliff. That's the concern.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concern, is that, what looks like what's going to happen is they're going to give it one more go with a, Aaron Rodgers kind of retread. Let's see if we can capture some magic. And if they do, well, then what? I mean, even if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game, can you count on him at 43 the next year? I mean, so you're starting over anyway.
Where's the future? Right.
Well, here's something that was kind of bandied about today earlier about this whole Aaron Rodgers saga. And I think I read an article about this where it was kind of like, Rodgers is playing these cat and mouse games and OTAs are happening. And if you're signed by a team and it's mandatory, you're required to be there or you're going to get fined. So he's kind of dodging that by not signing.
Right.
And after the mandatory camps are over, when training camp officially starts, he's going to sign somewhere in between then and now, or now and then. And I'm like, I'm with everybody on this. You either want to play or you don't. You either want to play or you don't. And I know I've defended Aaron Rodgers to a certain extent after watching Enigma, but that was more of he's a guy that has his own issues and his own personality, and he's got a right to all of that. But at some point, you got a team. I mean, you got guys that your career is over, and by over, what I mean is your legend status, your Super Bowl ring, your MVPs. You have achieved all of that. Now what you're doing is you're not necessarily holding a city hostage or a franchise hostage. We've talked about this. HJ has said he's not holding the Steelers hostage because they're happy with whatever they get. But what you are doing is you're holding some of these players' careers hostage. If you think about it, one of them being Mason Rudolph and another one being guys like DK Metcalf, guys on the offense that they're not sure who is going to be giving them the ball, and chemistry is a huge thing. And if you have a bad year because you're not on the same page, I mean, that can affect their livelihood and what they're worth. And I honestly think this is now a shit move by him, and he needs to either sign because that's what the Steelers want him to do, or say, you know what, I'm out. I'm going to retire. That's how I feel. And another thing, Chris Chata brings up a great point. How would you feel if you were Mason? You're the only one that gives a damn at this point, and every day there's a new name that's going to be the starting QB. Kirk Cousins, can he come in? Carson Wentz was bandied about today. I mean, I know we've talked about this in the past. Mason, how poorly they've treated Mason Rudolph. And there are some people that say, well, they paid him a lot of money and, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, though, what a shit show. How you want to talk about now, Mason Rudolph makes his own choices, of course, but you want to talk about disrespecting a guy? They're disrespecting Mason Rudolph. No, he's not a Hall of Famer. No, but the point is, you don't really know what you have with him. He was never given a real chance here. And when he was given a chance, those 3 games at the end of the year, 2 years ago, he won them to put them in the playoffs. And then you re-sign him and you're sitting around waiting for some other Jablonski named Aaron Rodgers to sign. And if he's not going to sign, people are throwing out names like, who else could we bring in? If I'm Mason Rudolph, I'm sitting around like, well, wait a minute. Wait, I would want the fuck out of here.
Well,
honest to God, it's such bullshit. I think the way they're treating this kid.
Well,
it's total bullshit.
I kind of disagree though. Just I think Mason Rudolph is happy that he has not only an NFL job, but a likelihood of starting somewhere.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from that. I think you're right about that. But that's the thing about him. He is a class act, 100%.
Right.
He's a class act.
I mean, I think the bigger issue really is if you're not all about football, if you're not all about wanting to get to know the guys, wanting to practice with the guys, if you're not all about football, it's not going to work.
No, not at all.
Right.
You can't just show up, in time for training camp and think that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, because it's
or think that, just because you're Aaron Rodgers, you're the difference. He's not the difference anymore at this point of his career.
No.
You know, can he be a serviceable quality quarterback? I think he could, but with being all bought in, that's how it's going to happen. It's not going to happen with just kind of showing up whenever you feel like it. Like, to me, basically what he's saying by not being signed right now is I'm ambivalent.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. And for the Steelers, this is why I bring this up. Are they a catastrophe? My answer to that is yes. This is a catastrophe. I can't think of another NFL team who who has been in this situation looking for a quarterback who has allowed an individual to hold the team hostage, because I'm tired of this, to hold the team hostage the way that the Steelers are allowing this to happen. Yes, there's plenty of quarterback controversies. There's been plenty of people, they bench this guy. He's mad. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. They're going with a journeyman. I mean, that shit happens all over the NFL. It's pro sports. It happens everywhere. But for the Steelers organization to buy into this and to think that, because you're not hoping Aaron Rodgers signs so you have a bridge quarterback. You actually think that he's going to come here and he can take you over the top, or you're not doing this.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that, okay, so that's fine. Let's say that you do think that. If that's your thinking, then what the fuck are you doing waiting for him to play these games? Because your thinking should be, if you're not on board with coming here and winning a Super Bowl, if you're not 100% in from day one, learning the playbook, being at OTAs, being at voluntary, being at all of it, getting into the team, knowing the team, embracing the team, we want to win a Super Bowl, then we're moving on. We're moving on. They should have moved on weeks ago. They should literally,
they backed themselves into a corner, though.
I don't think so. I think they backed themselves into a corner they constructed on their own. They can still say, you know what, we're done. They can do that. They can do that.
They can.
That's the catastrophe. It's an absolute unmitigated disaster.
So you're saying by not doing that?
Yeah, it's a disaster.
It's a catastrophe.
It's an absolute disaster, because now what you've done is every day that goes by where you do not lay down the law and say, okay, we're out. We're moving on with Mason. This is the way it is another day that you're wasting of these players' careers and commitment on the field to try to win a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers has already won a Super Bowl. He doesn't fucking care. He cares about one thing. He cares about the paycheck. That's the only reason he's going to sign with any team right now.
And showing bark.
And all that other stupid shit.
In the silence.
I respect that shit. I respect that shit to a certain point. But when it starts to interfere with other people's lives, I'm not even talking about the fans. I'm talking about, the rookies that have come in here, the Roman Wilsons of the world that are trying to come back from injury and make a name for themselves in the NFL. The DK Metcalf, who was traded for, who has to buy in, who has bought in. Everybody. Why are you hesitating on that?
Well, I mean, he wasn't at OTAs. Neither was our leader, TJ Watt.
Yeah. Well,
you're not terribly excited about that.
But here's the difference.
And by the way, they're signed to a Steelers contract.
Okay. But Metcalf's going to have to take his fines, right? He's going to be fined. And TJ Watt has been a part of the organization his entire career, and he's trying to get a new contract. That's different than Rodgers saying, I think I'll just wait.
Is it being fully committed to the team? I'm just saying.
I mean, I understand your point.
Right?
It's a good debate to have, but I don't think it rises to the level of selfishness. And I've been on record as being a defender of Aaron Rodgers. Good evening, Marvin Hamilton in the house. Thanks for being here. Mike Lawrence is in the house as well, as always. We already thank Chris Chata for being here.
Let me put some whipped topping on this.
Okay,
subject,
please. I could use a little whipped topping.
Whipped topping.
Yeah.
Tell us about AA Ron.
This is a Sunday, but you're talking about this guy, right? That guy?
Yeah.
This guy with the mustache?
Yeah, that guy.
Do you like him with the mustache, by the way?
Is that Mason?
I don't care.
looks a little tougher.
Mason grew a mustache.
Looks a little tougher.
You think he's like ready to be an NFL quarterback?
As far as I'm concerned, Mason can do whatever the hell he wants. Yes, I do think he's ready to be an NFL quarterback.
Here's the whip topping on this subject.
Oh, hold on. You're going on his looks. You
have to go on his looks.
Do we judge his looks? That means he's going to be good.
You have to judge his looks.
Did you see Ron Jaworski in the 70s?
He had a great mustache.
That guy never looked like a quarterback. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
70s quarterbacks were different back then.
Right. We were all different.
Now, here's the theme that goes on with the Steelers. They let other people dictate what they do as an organization.
Yes,
they're no longer an organization that says, this is the Steeler way, take it or get the F out. They're not that organization anymore. And that's where the frustration comes in for me personally, as part of the Steelers Nation. And if you're part of the Steelers Nation, you should be pissed off about this too, because the organization used to take control of the situation. They used to have a direction they went in, and they went in that direction. And if somebody didn't want to play with it, even if they were a good talent, they were gone. Now, what do? They make deals with guys who says, okay, well, whenever you're ready to make the decision, we'll bring you on. It's the same thing they're doing with Tomlin. Tomlin, you're coach for life. Whenever you decide you're going to retire, we're fine with that. And that's not the sign of a leader, a leadership. It's not a sign of a strong franchise. A strong franchise recognizes they make mistakes and they fix them right away, just like what the Eagles did with that guy that they got rid of. They had to eat some cash. But you know what?
Bryce Huff.
Yeah. He's gone now. He's like, get out of here. The coach said he's garbage, and they got rid of him. That's what good organizations do. The Steelers are just not a good organization anymore, and they won't be as long as they continue to have this leadership that's fed a silver spoon.
Okay, so answer my question. Are they a catastrophe?
Not as long as we have Mason Rudolph with that mustache.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
No, I don't think they are. I think Mark's point about them being competitive still, despite their failures, is a kind of a testament. I don't think to Tomlin. I think it's to the other players who really are just dealing with the bullshit of not having a quarterback, the number one position, and they recognize they're never going to be able to, because they recognize that Mike Tomlin doesn't have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And I think this organization only turns around when the owners say, sorry, Mike, you don't have it. You must retire. This is it. And they hire somebody who does recognize good talent. And that's it. I don't think it's this guy from Ohio State. People are saying it might be him. Yeah. I don't think it's him.
No.
I think he's
what guy from Ohio State?
Will Howard.
Will Howard, the guy they drafted this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to be good. I think he could be a good talent. Do I think he can take you to the promised land? No, I think probably at this point in his career, Mason Rudolph's better. And if you draft a quarterback, he's got to be better than your second best quarterback.
Well, and I think people look at Will Howard and they see, just from the physique and the way he kind of talks, they see Ben Roethlisberger.
That's why I say they're not a catastrophe. I agree with the Grand Schwabini here, because there are a lot of catastrophes out there. I mean, the Cleveland Browns, for God's sakes, when have they been in a championship game ever?
Look at their quarterback room.
I mean, Detroit was a disaster of a franchise too, but they turned it around.
They did.
They've got a good coach, with a philosophy, and always going to go for it on fourth down, and whether it works or it doesn't, that's what he does.
Well, when it comes to Cleveland, they're kind of in their own little world, their own little bubble, and to me, that's like, they're just always a catastrophe. I'm talking more about, the situation the Steelers are in right now. It's a catastrophe.
Well, I think from a leadership perspective, yes, I agree.
My word is they're teetering.
There you go. Yeah,
they're teetering.
I would agree with you. I mean,
they're seesawing.
Yeah,
that potential.
See, and I think Sundays on a seesaw with whipped cream on either side.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know why we have all the whipped cream references.
One more dollop on the wrong side, and it's all over.
That's right.
Sundays everywhere.
Yep.
Look out for that dollop.
Sunday. This is crazy. So I think they were teetering when the Kenny Pickett year came along. I think that was the teetering, because once that experiment, I don't even want to call it experiment. That was kind of like, putting everything on all your money on double zeros at the roulette table.
We know what we're getting with Big Ken.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
across the locker room.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, from that moment on, they have not been able to figure a single damn thing out.
Hey, can I ask you a serious question?
Please do.
Do you think the Steelers are the organization that sends players to other organizations where they win Super Bowls? I mean, it happened with Lev Bell. It happened with Antonio Brown. In some ways, you could say it happened with Kenny Pickett.
LeGarrette Blount,
right?
Yeah. I don't know, because you'd have to go back and look at there's so much movement in the NFL, and when players get released and they get picked up and that to fill a role or some depth, and then they end up on the really active teams near the end of the year are those playoff teams, because they're looking for depth.
Yeah.
So they'll pick people up off the trash heap just for depth, and then they end up getting they end up winning a ring. Yeah, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Right.
Now that was.
So you're saying it's more just dumb luck.
I think it's
dumb luck. It's
It's
happenstance. It's
dumb luck.
It's not.
I mean, like you take a guy like LeGarrette Blount, you could make that argument, but you could also make the argument that the Steelers got rid of him because he had, some problems with substances.
Yeah.
He goes to New England,
right?
Wins a championship there, but then they basically say we can put anybody at running back.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles pick him up, happens to be their out of nowhere year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just really just dumb luck. I think. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you have some sort of write up, or I feel like you have some sort of research on this?
No, not on that one. I was just thinking about that the other day, and I was thinking, man, they have a lot of people who went on to win rings and then I was thinking, is that what happens? Is that what the Steelers organization has become? And as far as the LeGarrette Blount situation, that was one of the times where they actually did show some leadership.
Right.
They said, get out. You're garbage. I don't care.
Right.
We don't need that on this team.
Yeah. Go win a Super Bowl up there.
I actually think that the Steelers think they can fix things, and they can't.
Yeah.
And that's another big problem that they have when they draft. Look at all the wide receivers that were guaranteed headaches when they got them. They knew they were going to be headaches. They knew they were going to be projects. They drafted them anyways, and guess what? They got rid of them because they were headaches.
Okay, so this is how you can help us if you're watching. I want to thank everybody that's watching us on X at the Sports Porch 1, the number 1. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Sports Porch Podcast, or listen to this podcast. I drop it right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. So just go on over there, subscribe, listen every week. We're going to try to tell you like it is. Speaking of a catastrophe, let me see this comment by Chris Chott here, because, people are, how about the difference between Rodgers and Brady when Brady went to Tampa Bay? Look, guy was all in helping sign players. Absolutely. And what did he do? He switched teams, won a Super Bowl. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is on the level of Tom Brady. And you've got Tom Brady, and then you've got a bunch of really elite quarterbacks, and then you got everybody else. I would put Aaron Rodgers at the height of his career in that bunch of really elite quarterbacks, but I think he's really souring his legacy by doing what he's doing.
Tom Brady was showing up to every single practice when he was going through a divorce.
Right.
You're
right.
Aaron Rodgers is trying to tell you, there's some personal people that I'm close to that are really struggling.
Yeah.
I can't even sign.
I think what that really means is these people owe me money and I'm trying to get it back. I don't know.
Whatever the heck it means, it's not good enough.
I have no All right.
Show up or get lost.
That's enough of that. We've had lots of OTA stuff going on. Don't believe the hype. It's only OTAs. It'll start getting meaningful when we get to actual camp. We'll know a little bit, hopefully, more about who our real quarterback is going to be. At this point, I'm going to go on record by saying I hope it's Mason Rudolph. I really do.
I mean, he's the only guy standing right now.
I hope they give this guy a legit. Well, I think the guy. We get into the weeds with this shit all the time. What he deserves, what he doesn't deserve, no matter what we're talking about here. I think Mason Rudolph deserves a legitimate shot at starting for this team. Period. He gave it his all. He was always willing to come in. He never said anything bad. I mean, we had the Miles Garrett incident years ago.
Yeah.
That's well beyond us. Give this guy a shot. He can throw the ball. If there was Russ Grimm is being, and I'm going to go on a tangent again, but Russ Grimm is being inducted into the Whippeal Hall of Fame this year.
He should be.
Yeah. Well, right. He should have been 20 years ago, but for some reason they waited. So they had him
because he played for Scottsdale.
They had him on the radio.
You know
today.
where that is?
I do know where that is. I've been to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
It's smaller than Mount Pleasant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they had
It's
Russ.
like the size of Kecksburg.
They had however big that is. I have heard about. Anyway, they had him on the radio today. They asked him about, because everybody knows he was part of the Hogs. They asked him about Joe Gibbs. They asked him about the offensive line. And, do you think Broderick Jones, even though he's played right tackle, but now he's at his natural position, how hard is that back and forth?
Yeah, what did he say about that?
He basically said, look, when we became the Hogs, 4 of us were rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Grimm, Bostic, I can't remember the other 2 names. He said, and when Mark Ripien was the quarterback, he said that year he got sacked 9 times. The whole year.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's your offensive line. They need to gel. It doesn't matter whether they're rookies or they're, veterans.
Right.
They have to be guys who can play. And as far as like left tackle to right tackle to guard to whatever, he said, you can only keep 7, maybe 8 offensive linemen on your roster. So he's like, when he came into the league, he could play center. This is Russ Grimm.
Yeah.
He's like, so, you always want guys who they know how to play a little bit of guard. You got to slide over to this, because if your center goes down, somebody's got to snap the ball.
Right.
So it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of finding guys who want to play together, who understand the job they have to do, and they just do the job. If they just do the job, Mason Rudolph will deliver the rock where it needs to go. Mm-hmm. Fuck Aaron Rodgers. Fuck him. I don't care if he signs. I think it makes us a worse team. I'm tired of all of these.
You're an enigma.
I am. Thank you. I am tired of all of these talking heads saying, well, yeah, he's kind of a problem, but if we sign him, does it make their this is the question you hear. Does it make their quarterback room a whole lot better, or just a little better, or what? And everybody says, well, it's an upgrade. It makes him better. Fuck that. After all of this, are you kidding me? It makes it worse because he's getting special treatment. He didn't have to be there to help. He's not all in on the deal. He's there for the $10 million or the $20 million or whatever the hell they're going to steal out of the fans' pocketbooks to put into Aaron Rodgers' pocketbook so he can go out there and he can sniff, tree bark and he can date women and get married secretly in Vegas and lay shit.
He got married?
Going on?
Somebody, remember there were rumors that he got married because he showed up somewhere wearing a ring or something like that, or he can talk about how Danica Patrick was such an incredible influence on his life, all the while she was saying, I feel like I was held hostage. I mean, come on, let's get over it, Pittsburgh. Move on.
Look, for me, it's really simple. I think the better path is this is what I see. I see with Aaron Rodgers, I see best possible scenario, make the playoffs, win 1 playoff game. And he's old.
Right.
So next year doesn't matter. Right. I think I would rather see Mason Rudolph play half the season. And you know what? If he's good, great. Keep rolling with it. If he's not good, then let's have Will Howard play half the season. And if he's great, good. Then you don't have to worry about a quarterback next year. And if he's not, then you know what? You're probably 4-13.
Yep.
And you get your quarterback in next year's draft.
And you draft one.
In Pittsburgh.
Marvin has a question. How many quarterbacks do you think we'll go through before we find the one? Well, hold on.
Let's see.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Justin Fields.
Rudolph's in there.
Russ Wilson.
Doc.
Mitch Trubisky.
Stuck in there.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. No, Ben was playing.
He was
Ben
injured.
was playing.
He played the injury.
Mitch Trubisky.
Was Allen?
That's 5.
Was Allen on this team?
At least
somebody
5.
Allen.
Yeah, Kyle Allen. Yep. Yep. At least 5.
Maybe Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, but they never started, so we can't do that.
It's just mostly guys that they picked up.
Hey, Marvin, at this point right now, the count is 5 and climbing.
This will be the 5th year without Roethlisberger. Did I have that right?
Chris CD says Mark May and Joe Jacoby. That's right. Fifth year.
So this will be the 5th year they've had a different quarterback starting since Roethlisberger.
It was Pickett. No, I think it's the 4th year.
No, it's I think this is the 5th year, going into the 5th year.
Right.
No,
Okay.
because the first year they started Trubisky.
Yeah.
Then the second year would have been Kenny Pickett.
Right.
And then
3rd year is Justin Fields.
yeah, Fields.
So this is the 4th year.
Yeah, I guess you could say Russell Wilson too.
Yeah.
last year,
But this is
you know,
the
they
4th.
kind of split
This is
duties.
year 4. This is
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, listen, it's going to be a lot. I mean, but that I don't think that's any different than anybody else in the NFL. Let me just take a step back and say that like it's rare that a team will find a quarterback and then find
there's
a quarterback.
there's a lot of teams that go 20 years before getting a good quarterback.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So your guess is as good as ours, Marvin. maybe that's what I should say. Okay, at the Sports Porch Podcast, that's where you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Please, we're trying to grow that channel. That's how you can help us out. Go over to YouTube, subscribe at the Sports Porch Podcast. We put out shorts on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, all week long, recapping some of the highlights from the show. And we drop the podcast right after the show, or you can just wait and watch us live and donate your time to us, which is what we love. Every Monday night Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. Let's move on.
Isn't there something else we love?
What else do we love?
We love food.
Yeah. Oh, you want to do that now?
Yeah, I'm smelling some food right now.
All right. I think that's probably a really good idea considering.
I'm smelling some food.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but tonight.
Never know.
Taste the biscuit.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Browns had 42 quarterbacks level.
Took that honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with that honey sauce. Honey sauce tonight? Don't get that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings. How come you never fly with us?
Yeah, you
because I'm busy trying to produce the show while you guys are having a good time.
Is that what you call it?
The Trader Joe's segment is upon us. The Trader Joe's segment is here. That is what the music means.
Now, for those of you that don't know, I work down in East Liberty, and I really love it there. Great people, great place. You take the rest.
So what I do after that is I bring home a Trader Joe's product every week, and we try to give you our honest opinion, because this is not a sponsored segment by Trader Joe's, but it is something that they did give me permission for. And this week we are going to be sampling seasoned waffle cut fries.
I like a good French fry.
Okay, I like where this is headed.
All right. Well, why don't you guys debate the fries and that while I get it? Because I'm also cooking it.
Let's debate the waffle fry versus like the shoestring fry. Which one do you like better?
Well, I'm going to have to go old school and say I like your standard fry.
Just the standard.
I'm like, I'm a McDonald's fry guy.
Yeah. Do you like it with the skin on or the skin off? It's got to be blanched.
I can go 100 different ways.
Yeah,
but I would say, the McDonald's fry to me is the masterpiece.
I agree, and that's more like a shoestring fry, but it's a little bit thicker. Just a little bit thicker.
Right.
I don't know, but a good waffle fry. I mean,
sure,
you got some meat there. Yeah,
a waffle
you only need
fry.
like 5 or 6 good waffle fries.
Yeah, I mean, a waffle fry could be very enticing.
The thing that will bring a waffle fry down is if it's not cooked enough.
Right.
And you have to chew it and there's no crunch to it.
True.
Actually, with any French fry, if that happens, you pretty much want to just throw them away or put them on a Permani Brothers sandwich.
My concern here, looking at the packaging, is that there will not be enough waffle fries.
It does look like they're only like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it looks like a very small amount of waffle fries.
Hey, look, he did get it right. He did serve it with ketchup.
Oh, how about that?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
And you know what?
And there are
I don't know. There are quite a few in here.
Well, you know what? You should be taking over this role here.
Obviously, I already have.
Yeah.
I tell you what, they're good.
Right,
they look good. They look good and crispy.
Now, the one thing I have to say is I can't be held responsible too much for the cook on them, because I'm literally air frying while I'm producing a show. So seasoned waffle cut fries. You guys tell me.
I don't know about
what
the
you
season.
Think. Well,
oh yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Eat a few.
I like it.
Yeah, I like these.
I like it. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely a put them in the air fryer. You can eat them during the game.
Yep.
Hopefully you're watching a hockey game, maybe a tennis match. The French Open is on. You might want to check out that.
I think you can watch anything and eat these.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're good.
The seasoning,
and I was
really
I was wrong. The seasoning actually is. It comes through.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's maybe a tad burnt.
Yeah, it's because they sat in there for a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't mind a little burnt. Better than undercooked.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, yeah, good job here. I mean, the fact that you were going to give us nothing earlier tonight until we asked,
Till we whined and complained.
knowing that this was in the household, it's disappointing.
In the
Winkies
household.
fries. Oh my goodness.
All right, so
I don't think they were very good, Dr. DeFlitch.
Trader Joe's snack time, seasoned cut waffle fries. Thumbs up.
Hey, yeah, definitely. Two thumbs up.
Yeah,
Two thumbs up.
Good
Hey,
stuff.
would now be a good time to plug our show for next week?
Sure.
Yeah, why not? While you guys are eating, go ahead and plug. We got something special coming next week.
Yins guys out there, you got to listen up. We have a very special week next week because y'all know the U.S. Open is coming to Pittsburgh. It's going to be played at Oakmont. Very tough place, but we don't know anything about golf. So we're bringing in a Pittsburgh expert. His name is Mike Dodorich. He used to be chief editor of the Tribune Review. It was, if you remember, there were these things called newspapers.
Right.
They used to deliver them to you. They would have sports pages.
Yeah.
Well, he was the guy that basically put it all together.
It's awesome.
He retired, and he's got a second career now. He's got a second career now that basically follows golf, and he is a golf expert. And we will have him on the show next Monday, just for you guys out there. So if you have, if there's a question you want to know about Oakmont, just put it in the comments this week, and we'll get to it next week. We want to make sure he knows that what the questions are going to be ahead of time, so he's ready. But he will absolutely be able to answer things on the fly. I promise you. The other thing about Mike is he used to be our head commissioner for our fantasy football league for decades and decades before he retired from that profession also. So he's a full-time golf guy now, and he will be here on the porch next week talking about the Oakmont U.S. Open.
And we look forward to that. And how do you say his last name? Dudurich?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because being a Central PA kid, I always thought it was Dudurich.
Well, you can say Duderich.
But no, it's got to be how
we can debate it with him.
Nah.
How would you like your name said?
Nah.
We can give him a nickname.
I like,
MD.
and I do know a thing or two.
MD 20.
I do know a thing or two about golf. We'll be talking a little bit Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
Will it be Scotty Scheffler or the field? We'll be talking Rory McIlroy. We'll be talking Bryson DeChambeau.
We'll be talking about how fast the greens really are.
You'll be talking, and I won't because I will be in Palm Beach. Woohoo! Woohoo! Probably maybe golfing Mar-a-Lago. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Now here you go. Amy May, part of my Trader Joe's fan club, says she missed me at Trader Joe's on Saturday. It's because I was in New York City, but I really appreciate you showing up, Amy May. And if you show up this Saturday, I won't be there either, but I will be there tomorrow and Wednesday if you'd like an autographed T-shirt.
No, thank you.
Mike Lawrence says Oakmont is going to be one hell of a test for PGA pros, especially if the rough is thick and wet.
Well, it rains a lot in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yep.
And nice, Mike D, Pittsburgh golf coverage legend. Yeah, so actually, it depends on what our schedule is, and I'll let you guys know off air and well before the show.
Don't worry,
But
we won't rely on you.
No, you shouldn't. I may
It's the
pop
smart
in though just to say hi to Mike because I haven't seen him in so long.
Would rather you not.
Yeah, he
really-
probably doesn't. He probably doesn't remember you. You were a nothing franchise when you joined.
Yeah, you'll basically you'll be on there and you'll have wind blowing in your hair, and it'll just be a disaster.
I love how he says wind blowing in your hair. Okay, let's move on here at the Sports
we'll make
Podcast.
sure we ask him about that Arnie Palmer.
The Pirates are just under 500 since Don Kelly took over. Are things looking up? Don't get too excited. Fire Charrington. I mean, it to me, it's all it signals is that Shelton had to go. and that they're still a shitty team.
But the change was good. You have to admit that, right? It was positive.
Yes.
It wasn't just a parallel move.
I hesitate to use the phrase positive for anything associated with the Pittsburgh Pirates right now.
Fair.
You can talk about their rotation. You can talk about their starting pitching, obviously Paul Skenes. But to be honest with you, firing the manager, that was one small part of the problem that isn't going to fix a goddamn thing. It's just not going to do it. And it
was one small step, but not a giant leap for mankind.
Not a giant leap for pirate kind.
Yes.
And I hate this destroying Ben Cherington because
that's fair.
I hate it. And the reason I hate it is because it's one thing to watch the games, and we've all watched enough of them to watch Shelton manage and to go, what? And then you see the results on the field where a lot of decisions he made resulted in most likely the bad outcomes. They still probably would have lost those games, but he had to go. This whole notion that Cherington has done nothing, to me, it has a little bit of credibility. It would have a lot of credibility if we knew that these were all the decisions that he wanted to make and he was green-lighted on all of them. There is no way in hell, I'm sorry, that this guy was like, yes, we need to sign IKR and Rowdy Tellez, and these are the people that we should get. There is no way in hell any of those guys were at the top of Ben Cherington's list.
That's true.
No way. Do you think that Ben Cherington, GM of a Major League Baseball team, and he has experience with other teams as well, sat down in the offseason and said, let's make a short list of free agents that we need to sign. Tommy Pham is number 2. No way. No way.
Nobody says that.
No. So stop beating the shit out of Ben Cherington. Do I think he should go? I got to tell you, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Because if somebody said to Ben Cherington, here's the checkbook, put the team together, that's what I want to see. Because I guarantee you we wouldn't have at least half of the players that we have on the field right now.
Yep.
And I guarantee you that this franchise wouldn't be going, well, Andy Rodriguez is better. Shouldn't he play catcher? Jesus Christ. I mean, pick a catcher.
Please don't say the Lord's name in vain.
Pick a catcher. It's not your Lord. Pick a catcher.
You don't know
that. Maybe we'll find out in the afterlife. We'll see. I'll see you in Valhalla. I've been watching.
I think I'm going to be up top. You're going to be down low.
Most likely. Yeah.
I think Klein wants a Viking funeral.
I would love that.
Would you
slide me out on a boat and light me on fire?
I tell you what, we could do it in Put in Bay. You don't even have to be dead.
I was just thinking, you know what? This is some evil foreshadowing going on right here.
If Chris doesn't show up the week after our vacation, then we don't know what happened.
By the way, the sports guys are going to be in Put in Bay in the end of August. So is it the end of August or beginning?
It should somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. So we'll let you guys know we're going to be there if you want to come on up and say hi and get some autographs and watch my Viking funeral, and you can come along. But
live?
No, I'm
streaming
live. Yeah. Let's TD's Viking funeral. Boom. Anyway, I'm sick and tired of people beating the shit out of Ben Cherington. I have no attachment to this guy. I don't know him. I've never talked to him. You know how we operate here in the Sports Porch. We're not insiders. We're just fans. Been around a long time as fans.
Well, since you're all fired up, let me get you fired up about something else.
Are we staying on the Pirates?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
What did you think about O'Neal Cruz looking at that last strike and striking out when he could have just, swung the bat and maybe even won the game?
Just another O'Neal Cruz at bat.
That doesn't excite you?
Well, it's not that it doesn't excite me.
You're used to it.
It's part and parcel to the way the Pirates organization works.
Yeah.
And that's why I say this isn't just a Ben Cherington issue. It wasn't just a Derek Shelton issue. And Don Kelly, if he ends up being the the manager next year. Unfortunately, Don, I'd love to have him on the show actually, but we wouldn't be able to ask him anything that we really want to ask. But unfortunately, Mr. Kelly, it's because you're the cheapest option, and we all know that.
Next guy up.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to insult him, but they're not going to go out and get a manager with a track record. To be kind, a manager with a track record.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't want one. They would have to pay them and the guy they just fired.
And all this talk about why, I heard on the radio today, dumbest argument I've heard in a long time.
Oh, I love.
Well, if they start winning a little bit, or if they play reasonable baseball, like 500, and
who could they pick up?
And then and there's no interim term with Don Kelly. Isn't that kind of strengthening Ben Cherington's position to stay on as GM? And look, that's the dumbest argument and question I've ever heard in my life. Okay, this guy Cherington has been handcuffed from day one, and he knows it. If I'm Ben Cherington, I want out. At this point, I want out, because every week that goes by where we don't perform, and then at the trade deadline, rumors about Mitch Keller going to the Orioles, rumors about, all kinds of rumors. Will they trade McCutchen? Rumors about, any of those players. Now, they're not going to be good moves for the Pirates, because they're not going to get anything in return that's anything other than a handful of prospects, which is like the word of the decade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's only going to make him look worse, because the media is going to go after him even more. Give the guy a break. All right, Ben, get out of town. Go find a real job. Nutting's never going to, no disrespect to him. I'm tired of that. Nutting's never going to pay you what you're worth, and he's never going to give you the keys to the kingdom to build a winning team. It's very, very obvious. So, get off Ben Cherington's back. Sports radio, find something better to talk about, please. I mean, and to be honest, there's not much better to talk about with the Pirates right now.
It's all about how much money he's allocated. It doesn't matter who he is. Yeah. It matters how much money he has or has not.
Right.
There's no debate to go on with this. We all feel the same way.
Absolutely.
It's just, how can we get him? How can we run him out of town so we can get a new franchise to join us?
I don't know.
That should be our goal.
Yeah. Well, your whole thing is he takes the Pirates with him, and then
takes them or sells them. I don't care. We need a new franchise with a new owner.
I would rather him sell them. I think we all would, because then it's just the Pirates stay and you get a new owner.
Yeah, I think we can get him to leave, but they would have to leave all the history with the new Pirates.
They go to Nashville and just become like the Nashville Navalators and.
And that's a great name.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
the Navalators?
I love it.
Is that a real word?
I just made it up.
It's a great name.
It is now part of the lexicon, the Navalators.
Right. And just, and then we get to keep the Pirates, and in 2 years we'll get a Pirates team.
Yeah. Exactly. A real Pirates team. So we can bring PNC back to its greatness.
Well, we'll have the expansion draft. Everybody can protect a couple players. We'll get some good players off of some teams.
Well, we bring Kutch back first, probably.
No, that would be a no-no.
That would be the wrong thing to do.
Now, I did hear that Kutch had some things to say that I actually did agree with, where he basically said, look, it's our job to win these games. And he was talking about, I guess last night there was a really horrible third called strike on Henry Davis.
Oh yeah,
and everybody's up in arms about that
argument came
right. And what Kutch said is actually the sign of a veteran ball player who understands the league. So this is kind of what he brings to that locker room. Unfortunately, it doesn't help. But basically what he said is, hey, look, if we're the Dodgers, we get that call. If you're a rookie and you're on a team that's just not playing well, you're not going to get close calls. You're not going to get calls. And the more you argue, the less calls you're going to get. That's not the way it should be, but that's just the way it works.
Right.
And we have to stop thinking about the calls that we didn't get. I'm paraphrasing him. We have to stop thinking about the calls that we don't get. and think more about playing the game fundamentally right so we can win more ball games. So we're on the other side of that. So now we're getting the calls. Truer words could not have been spoken. And honestly, in the last however many years he's been back, those were the things I think he said that made the biggest difference, or make the biggest difference. If he goes back to the team and says, hey, look, this is the way it should work. Let's get these guys back on playing sound fundamental baseball and winning games.
That's a real leader right there. And that's why he deserves to be on this team still.
Right.
Well, but here's the thing though. I mean, I agree Kutch is an absolute leader and a very good guy. And I enjoyed the time that I got to see him play on the Phillies. But at the same time though, there's no leader that can make this team better.
No, I agree.
They can teach them the right stuff to do.
Right.
And the right attitude and mentality to have. Right. But, he can't make Henry Davis, hit the ball to the ballpark 40 times.
No, he can't. But that's the thing. Matt Borman from Tampa, Florida has just joined us on Facebook. Hey, Matt. Welcome to the show. Make sure you follow the Sports Porch on Facebook or go over to YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. Follow us there. Of course, you can follow us on X every Monday night Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. We're here, and then we drop the podcast. Henry Davis here's a prime example.
He's actually playing not too bad.
Right.
By the way.
But here's a prime example
Henry
of
Davis. He started hitting the ball.
Of what I'm talking about. This guy comes up through the system. He's the 1-1 pick. He's a catcher.
Right.
You bring him into the major leagues and you put him in right field.
Right. And when
we lambasted that the day they did it.
And when is he finally actually showing some signs of life? When he's playing catcher.
And now Andy Rodriguez is supposedly back. And now there's a debate as to whether or not they should just put Andy in at catcher or Henry Davis. This goes back 3 years when I went crazy on the Buccos reports over and over again about the lineup.
Okay. I remember those days.
Baseball is a game.
That was a hard listen.
I thought I was doing pretty well. Baseball is a game of consistency. It is a game of streaks. And the only way to achieve that, you're rarely are you going to have a player who's going to bat 325 the whole year. He's going to start slow, get hot, work his average up, and end the year with that average, or vice versa.
Right. They're going to be ups and downs.
You have got to be able to understand what your role is, to settle into your spot on the team, and play it at a consistent level. They bring Henry Davis up, they put him in right field. They move him around. They let him catch a game. They move him around the lineup. They do this. They do that. They do this. They do that. They're still kind of doing it. Now, I guess Kelly has brought back a little bit more consistency to the lineup. That's good. I think I was all over Shelton about this 3 years ago. Great. Now, why don't we let Henry Davis play catcher and bat for the rest of this year and give him a shot at adjusting to, because he tears it up in AAA, and give him a shot at adjusting to this league. You got nothing to lose. You're not making the playoffs. Okay.
He's the number 1 overall pick. So he had the talent at some point.
Right. So, we'll see what happens there.
Although, I mean, I do think that he's basically playing because Joey Bart's hurt, right?
Joey Bart was
right.
hurt.
So
he sucks right now too. He's not playing well when he does play. Yeah.
Well,
one home run this year.
Okay, but he's still one of their better players. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You can say also he kind of did earn the job.
Yeah.
But I would certainly at least split time with Bart when he comes back. But I certainly wouldn't play
Rodriguez.
No. I mean, what's he ever done?
Yeah.
No,
except get injured.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm with you. So, there's your Buccos talk for the week, guys.
Wait, one more thing. This one's for Mark. Hey, Mark.
Is this Pirates related?
Yes, it's Pirates related.
I would have never thought 2 years ago that we would have him saying one more thing on the Pirate subject. But here we go.
This is for Mark. Have you ever seen this baseball card of Andrew McCutchen?
Yeah, no, he was
awesome.
fun.
That is a great is a great baseball card.
Yeah.
That's a collectible right there.
Yeah. What is that? A bike chain around his neck?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was fun when he was on the Phillies. He sort of like did this thing where like they were kind of like doing like a funk dancing kind of thing when they hit home runs and stuff.
Yeah. That's a great card.
Yeah.
I got to get that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. If you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, you want to reach out to us at the Sports Porch Podcast, just hit that subscribe button, click the notifications. You'll know every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. when we're live, and you can watch us. You can also catch up on the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as following us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. We put out shorts and videos during the week recapping highlights from the show to get you amped up for next week's show, which is always at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, we do have a celebrity in the house here to my right. This is Hockey Jesus. And
Amen.
Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast during the regular NHL season after every single Penguins game. So if you're a big Pens fan, that game wraps up. The Pens have won. The Pens have lost. The Pens have tied. Well, there are no ties anymore, but whatever it is, they get the loser point, which he hates. Hop on the podcast, hop on YouTube. You can see after every single game he preaches. I saw a name on Insta linked to the Pens job, but I forget who it was. HJ. Yeah.
Well, we might as well just jump right into that before we talk about the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
Go for it, HJ. It's all yours.
They were both on my list. So, yeah, you're right. You probably heard the name Mitch Love. Mitch Love is a Capital assistant. He's tops on the list. He's actually in the running for the Bruins job too. I think everybody likes him. He's an up and comer. He's a young kid. I say young kid. He's 40 years old. There are a couple other names you may have heard. DJ Smith. He's a Los Angeles Kings assistant. The difference between those two guys makes a big deal on who Dubas signs, because DJ Smith will bring a team in that's more heavy, more like Florida, a team that may not be as fast, but definitely would play heavy and would be tough to play against. Mitch Love's probably going to be a better guy to bring the new guys along.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, he had Ovi there, so I think he's a better fit just because you're thinking about Sid still, and you're thinking about the new guys. So I think Mitch Love has already kind of been through that for a couple years in Washington, and they did really great last year. Of course, in the playoffs they didn't do so great, but they got out of the first round. So I think that's a little bit of I think that's a good thing. There are three other names that I heard. Jay Woodcroft, he coached Edmonton before the guy who's up there now coached. Dan Quinn's still in the mix, but I think Dan Quinn will probably stay on as an assistant.
Doesn't Dan Quinn coach the Washington Commanders?
No. The last name, and I think this is a long shot. It's Alain Nasruddin. He played for the Penguins for like a game, and actually, his only goal was on an assist by Sidney Crosby. So that would be weird if he became the head coach. He's a Dallas assistant. I think he's off the list at this point. Probably they were just waiting to be able to interview him, and he's probably not going to make the final list. But I think Mitch Love is going to be the guy, but I don't know. I keep hearing, I can't pronounce their names, some coaches over in Sweden who are still into the mix. So the thing about this is Dubas has complete control over it, and he's not leaked anything to anybody.
Right.
So if anybody knows anything about it, they're doing a really good job of keeping it quiet. It was kind of that way with the Sully, I'm going to call it firing. With the Sully firing, nobody knew. He probably told Sid and the owners, and that was probably it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty interesting that Dubas, for being a guy who likes to be in front of the media, keeps these things really quiet and doesn't like to leak too much when it comes to decisions like this. What do you think about those picks, Mark? You like any of those guys? Because I'm asking you because I know the Flyers just went out and got Tocchet. So
yeah, I mean, I guess if those were the choices, I would go with Mitch Love. Because I think the Capitals. To be honest, I really liked what the Capitals did this year. I think that they actually more or less I think they ran out of steam from going through the whole Ovechkin 900 goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just wanted to keep that momentum rolling,
right?
So he could break the goal record this year,
right?
And
right,
he did.
Right. And but I think did they have the second best record in the East?
They did.
Yeah.
No,
so
they had the best record.
So they had the best, didn't they? Okay.
They had the second highest record. They didn't win the presidential.
Right. They were like
that was Winnipeg.
Right. That's right. But they were like second best and best in the East.
Yeah, they were second.
So
best.
they put up some, well, and I think
they were like it all year long. I mean,
and
they came out right from the gate, and they were just at the top, and they stayed there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they played a really good style, and I think the style is something that the Penguins probably do have the potential to replicate, because they're similar in the way that Capitals had Ovi and the Penguins have Sydney, and Capitals have a lot of young guys coming up, and if the new coach is allowed to develop these young guys more so, and we end up seeing that some of them can really play, maybe with some additions in the off season,
right?
You got potential to have a real fresh look and possibly, maybe even get to the playoffs next year. So I think, I think that would be
a stretch, but that would be amazing if they did.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the guy. My only concern would be, I hope they're not dilly-dallying enough to where Boston comes in and swoops them up.
I totally agree with that, and that's why I think they need to do it very soon.
Yeah,
everybody was saying Dubas self-imposed the June 1st deadline. Well, that was yesterday.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if that means he hasn't found the guy yet, or the guy he asked to be hired is thinking about it. Let's face it, this is not an easy position to take over.
Although, one thing I would say, it is also possible that with that June 1st deadline, that he's already completed it, and they just don't want to take away anything from the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible.
Although you would think that they would announce it before the finals started.
This would have been a good time to do it in between.
Right.
Because once the Stanley Cup Finals gets going, you want to focus in on that.
Okay, so I got two questions here. One from Pat, one from Chris Chata, one from Pat Off Track, by the way, Chris Chata. But before that, I want to get your take on this. Any shot that Marner ends up on the Penguins?
Sure, there's a shot. They have the cap space.
I think he does.
Here's why I don't.
Why?
Here's why I don't.
You don't know anything about him.
No, but he sounds like he's great. He scores 100 points.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't he a great player?
He is. He's very talented. But here's what I think. I think they need to go get some Sam Bennett's of the world. Okay. I think they got enough talent coming up that nobody's going to be as good as Mitch Marner. But I don't think you want to spend $12 million to $15 million on him for 6 years, and then it's going to take away from Sydney's final years here. I just don't. I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah. But hold on. Okay, so this is coming from a quasi hockey fan who pays more attention now than I've paid in a long time. So yes, I don't understand the game the way that you guys do.
The fit is wrong, in my opinion.
Is the fit wrong? Okay, but how old is Marner?
He's young. He's like 24, 25.
Okay. So you've got an heir. Let's just hear me out.
He might be 26.
He might be 26.
Is he a winger? Is he a winger?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got an heir apparent here to Sydney, as far as just production.
No.
I'm not talking about Hall of Fame credentials and all. I'm talking about
if he played center position. Yes.
Okay, but I'm just saying that there's a Toronto connection. I think he's going to end up on the Penguins.
Maybe. I mean, there is a Toronto connection. I'm not sure if Dubas likes him or not. I just think Dubas recognizes the league is going to this new, what I call talented goons.
Yeah.
Where
I got that. I watched that.
Where guys can actually skate and score, but yet are tough to play against. Yeah. Because let's face it, Carolina doesn't have any of those guys. They can get to the finals. They can get to the conference finals, and they get blown out of the water. Why? Because they don't have that guy, and they're not talented enough. And let me just talk about the Stanley Cup Finals for a second. I'm actually going to drop a better analysis of this. So check my analysis of this tomorrow night, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of a sneak preview. I think the Stanley Cup Finals is going to be great because you've got Edmonton, who wants to fly, and you got the Florida Panthers, who are looking to go back to back. Bob's been running good this postseason again. I just think that the talent that Edmonton's going to bring is nothing like what Florida has seen so far. And I think Edmonton is finally going to get there. I think McDavid's going to get his trophy. And if he doesn't, that's an even bigger story. Because if he gets to the finals 2 years in a row and gets nothing,
right,
that's
a big concern as for him to be one of the greatest of all time.
Okay, so you're going to have a finals preview tomorrow night?
Yeah, I've got some great analysis about how Florida and Edmonton got to where they are, and I've got even better analysis of how the teams are formed and what that means for the Penguins.
Okay, so I'm going to encourage all you guys who are watching us and listening right now, if you're a hockey fan in general, especially if you're a Penguins fan, but if you're a hockey fan in general right now, go over to the Sports Porch Podcast on YouTube. It's at the Sports Porch Podcast, and subscribe and hit the notification button. Hockey Jesus is throughout the entire Stanley Cup playoffs has been doing updates after every round. Are you going to do every game in the Cup Finals?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So after every Stanley Cup final game, you're going to get a little analysis
There's
from
like
him.
2 or 3 days between every
game.
Yeah. I've known,
pray with Jesus. Pray with Jesus.
I've known Steve for 35 years. I have not known, maybe the counselor who we have on the show once in a while, but I've never met anybody in my travels that appreciates and loves hockey as much as he does. So if you want to learn something about hockey.
We also haven't spent much time in Canada.
Yeah, well, I haven't, but has he?
I mean, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I know
I've been to Toronto. I've been to Toronto.
I've never even been to Toronto. I've been to Nova Scotia, but I was 9, and we don't want to talk about it.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yes, Pat, the Buffalo Sabres should move to San Diego, 100% on that. And Chris Chada is asking about NHL expansion plans. Yep, they want more. They want more teams in the league, and there are plenty of cities who want them. Look for 2 more to come on board in the next 5 years.
I don't like that. Well, to be honest, I feel, because we were talking a little bit last week, or maybe in between weeks. I feel like it's a little watered down. I feel like neither one of these teams is an incredible team. Well, maybe I take that back. I mean, Edmonton's got the offensive, firepower.
Florida has made it to 3 consecutive finals. They're an excellent team.
Yeah,
you can't get there by luck.
He's got a problem with. You
can't get there by luck.
No, I'm not saying they're not a good team.
You know what he's got a problem with? You were here while he was bitching the Philly show.
His point about Sun Belt hockey teams, I agree with. That sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah,
and I hate it because they do want to go to a nice weather place. They do want to go to a place that barely knows about hockey, and if they win some games, they're happy. If they make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, they get free drinks for a year. Yeah. And if they lose, that's okay. We got the beach.
Right.
I get it. Yeah, I made that argument.
It's true.
It's more about the fact that the players are going to be like, I can be close to Miami, that kind of stuff.
That's true too.
But it's also their careers. They need to, if Florida as an organization doesn't put together a good team, then they go there, then they just become the Cleveland Browns of, the NHL. They've got to be careful.
Well,
as far as fans go, I think every game down there is pretty close to sold out.
No.
Well, no,
it wasn't beforehand.
Well, okay,
beforehand,
the finals,
I was filled up because all the other teams came to watch them.
Okay, well, that's first of all, that's a moneymaker, and
it's
second
still a
of all,
moneymaker, right?
Second of all, when it was obvious this year that the Penguins did not look very good, were they selling out?
No, they weren't.
Okay, that's hockey.
Yeah,
that's not. Nobody cares.
That's 3 years in a row of garbage.
That's hockey. I get it.
That's what happened.
I get it. All right, we got to get on to what we're watching here. So let's do that. If you know anything about our show, what we like to do is we like to give back to you because you have given so much time to us, and we appreciate that. And we know that it's really hard when you're looking for something to watch out there. and you're looking for something that you can, tell your significant other about and say, hey, let's try to watch this, and it's just bad. And it's really bad. And then you've lost that zhuzh you get. You're not,
what?
Zhuzh.
What's a zhuzh? Is that a word?
Don't you ever get the zhuzh?
Or is it just a sound?
It's both. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, you can get the zhuzh.
Yeah, you lost that
Okay,
zhuzh.
all right.
So
okay.
this is how we give back to you. There's so many streaming platforms out there. There's Max, there's Paramount Plus, there's Hulu, there's Prime, there's Netflix. Just to name a few. And what we do is we go through it, we watch something, we tell you our honest opinion. It's good, it's bad, it's but we give you your time back. You don't have to search. You can skip over the shit that's no good, and you could tune into the shit that we think is really good. And that's how we help
you. The beauty of it is when you look your significant other in the eye and you say, the guys from the Sports Porch approved it.
That's right. Sports Porch approved.
You will
Sports
love this.
Porch approved. It's good.
And that is what we're watching.
Stamp.
The only qualification is that we have to have finished the season we're in to give it a review. Or if it's a movie or a one-episode documentary, you got to finish the whole thing. You can't give a bad review if you only go halfway through it and you quit. You just got to suffer it out. That's how we give back to you. So I'm going to start with myself today. Your TD has watched something, and this is a real quick watch. It is the cold case, the Tylenol murders on Netflix. Did you see this?
People died.
He did this in the previous
I heard that this was recently added.
Yeah. All right.
No, I haven't seen this.
But you remember the Tylenol murders?
I do remember. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember it, but I remember like they had to change all the packaging because of it.
Right.
And it was like suddenly nobody was buying Tylenol. And then, I don't know, a few months go by and then suddenly everybody's buying Tylenol.
Dogs and cats were living together. It was chaos.
Yeah.
Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. So 1982, extra strength Tylenol capsules.
1982.
Yeah,
that far ago.
Were tainted. And that's the reason it piqued my interest, because I was like, I remember this.
We were like in Little League.
But I don't remember. I don't remember what happened after it. I don't remember if they ever got anybody. I just
remember the packaging changed.
Right. So 1982, extra strength Tylenol laced with cyanide in the Chicago area. Quite a few people died.
Chicago.
Obviously, law enforcement, the FBI gets involved. They start trying to figure this out.
Did they find a guy?
They do come up with somebody who they thought was their number one suspect. And up until recently, they still consider him the number one suspect.
Is he still alive?
I'm going to let this.
Oh, man. Now I got to watch it.
You got to watch it. It's 3 episodes of about 40 minutes each. It's really easy.
I can get that between periods.
Absolutely, you can. And there's a little string in there about how it could have really happened, that I think is kind of like the Occam's razor thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, to me, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's somebody whose mother passed away got really invested into looking into this stuff and made the couple comments where I was like, you want to know what? That makes sense. So I'm going to let you guys try to decide. So the Tylenol murders.
So you say thumbs up. It's an easy watch.
The Tylenol murders on Netflix. Yeah. If you remember those days, definite thumbs up. It's an easy watch.
Any issues with Tylenol since 1982? Yeah,
there was another incident in 1986, but I'm going to let the documentary tell you.
See, that's probably the one I remember.
Yeah. I don't even know what that was. The Grand Schwabini is watching.
To be honest, I only put this on.
What is that?
I only put this on this week because I thought one of you guys was going to do Your Friends and Neighbors.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've watched the last.
I didn't finish it.
I have completed.
I have one more episode to go.
Yeah, maybe we should all do it together, like in 2 weeks.
I love that idea.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the show. Okay.
So I just finished the 3rd season of the 100-Foot Wave.
3rd season?
Yep, 3rd season.
How did I miss the
it's on
first game?
Max. Well, you don't pay a lot of attention to surfing.
I don't have Max right now.
You're not a big surf
Why don't
guy.
you have Max right now?
You know what? I just, when I switched over the streaming services, it was one that I just forgot to re-up.
Are you done with cable? You got rid of like the Verizon
DirecTV
stuff?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube TV now. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a full-time streamer.
Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, this guy right here, his name's Garrett. He's kind of like the legendary big wave surfer. He kind of made it his mission to surf the biggest wave that you humanly could. He discovered this place called Nazaré in Portugal. That's this really incredible site where there's like a cliff with a big lighthouse on top of the cliff, and these waves just come crashing in.
Oh my God.
And he in the first season, like I believe he does set like the record with the documented tallest wave
he rode.
Yeah, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think it was quite 100 feet. I think it was maybe like in the 80s or something. But so everybody's everybody in the world of big wave surfing is looking for the 100-foot wave.
Right.
And basically in this show, you get to see all these different places where you could potentially find that wave. There's a couple places in Hawaii. One is called Mavericks, and another one is called Jaws. And they're just these huge wave places in Hawaii. This last season, there was a place in like Morocco. And there was also a place that was really wild. It was like in the middle of the ocean with like no shoreline or anything. Like
nice
waves just hit in the middle of the ocean.
I bet the cinematography is incredible.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And the other part of it, you learn a little bit about the history of surfing. Like there's some, like in this season, they talked about this thing called the Eddy. There's some famous surfer named Eddie who was one of the best big wave surfers ever. And every year they have the Eddy tournament. But the interesting thing about it is that it's not every year because they only do it if the swell is just right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So they might do it like every 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was a year where they did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, it's just really cool. I mean, there's a lot of like stuff in it about, relationships in the surfing community and the dangers of it and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's like peaceful, just to watch, when you're watching people go through barrels, it's cool.
Is this a hobby you're going to take up?
It's not, because
does it make you want to go out there and ride one?
It doesn't. But what you have to understand is I don't want to go out and get knee high deep in the ocean. I'm a big believer that it's not our place.
It's definitely not our place.
He told us this a couple years ago.
I get it. I understand.
The sharks, it's for the sharks.
It definitely is a place for sharks.
If they want to, take a bite of my leg because it seems like a sandwich to them, I understand.
They got to come up on shore to get you.
I get it. So right. I'm a little afraid in the water. Not when I was younger, though. When I was younger, man, I was like body surfing, boogie board surfing,
100.
I'm glad you grew up.
100-foot wave season 3 just completed on Max, the Grand Schwab Beanie. HJ brings to the table something is this a movie, my friend?
Yeah, this is a movie documentary.
Okay. Ooh, documentary. Good for you. This is called
Ice Guardians.
Oh,
I believe I was watching it on Prime, but I'm not really sure because it was something that I hit the button for to record, so it just recorded it. But this is actually not new. This is actually an old documentary. It was filmed in 2016, and it was this guy that has a website, hockeyfights.com, and he interviewed a lot of those guys you're looking at now: Wendell Clark, Dave Semenko, Joey Koser, Dave Schultz, the old flyer, and they interviewed Brett Hull. I don't know why they interviewed Brett Hull, but I think it was because they wanted to get the skaters' point of view about fighting and how they protect the guys. And I think this is if you like hockey and you want to have a debate about whether fighting should be in or out of hockey, I'm agnostic about this. I think it's part of the game, so I don't think you're ever going to get rid of it. But they talk about how it's changed, And it's interesting how they bring up Sidney Crosby's name over and over and over again about how many concussions he's had,
really,
because he hasn't had an enforcer on his team. And guys just don't have the same code that they had back in the day. Now, back in the day, depending on how far back you go, it was very common that everybody would come off the bench and just fight.
Right.
I actually remember that. Yeah.
I think it's good that that's gotten out of the game, and they had really good insight about the Broad Street Bullies, which I think you would like, Mark.
Oh yeah,
about how they came to be, and they said that a lot of this happened, and I'm going to bring this back to an end. A lot of this happened when they went from 6 teams to 12 teams because there wasn't enough talent out there to play. So they had to bring these enforcers in to play the game. And what has happened throughout time into the 80s, guys got really good at playing the game and they could fight. So I think that's why you're seeing expansion. I think they want to throw back to some more guys that can fight and be tough and score. And there are a lot of fast skaters now, and it can be dangerous if you hit them the wrong way. And they basically say that fighting is a way to minimize that. They don't say it takes it. They don't say it takes it away. But I suggest if you love hockey, if your wife likes hockey, this is the perfect movie for you guys. Hour and a half. You'll just love the way these guys talk about fighting and what it means to them in the NHL.
Ice Guardians.
Yeah. It's a great documentary. And actually, the counselor never even saw this one either.
Oh, really?
Well,
yeah.
Maybe he'll watch it. Maybe we'll hear from him.
Maybe.
All right, there you go. Has been the Sports Porch Black and Gold edition all over the world.
Pat,
thank you for Pat off track once again.
Yes, it was, Pat, but that's a whole nother documentary.
It is. So I want to thank everybody for watching us live. If you're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, all over the world, of course, we come to you every single Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'd love for you to go on over to YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications button. You'll know when we go live, when HJ drops a new show. And I'm going to drop the podcast right after this show so you can listen to it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. We'll see you next week with Mike Dudurich, our golf expert. For the Grand Schwabini, I'm your technical director. That's HJ. We're out. Yablonsk.